Now that's what I'm talking about. This is a short introductory video to introduce you to a new addition to my garage. Now, before any other questions come up, yes, I am keeping the Alfa Romeo 4C, hasn't affected that at all, but I have decided to add a new vehicle to the garage. And you may be wondering why I'm in this really unusual location, and that's partly because the reason I got this vehicle is it allows me to get myself to locations just like this one, which is basically in the middle of nowhere. You really wouldn't get an Alfa 4C up here or not without doing some serious damage. So the vehicle I have got, which has got me here this morning, and literally I've only had this vehicle this week, just a few days, so I'm just getting used to it now. And this vehicle is this. It's the BMW G310 GS. Now this bike is a pretty awesome bike. It's a great starter bike because I haven't been in bikes for over 15 years, so I'm having to relearn the craft. And it's a great vehicle to relearn the craft on because it's a small engine, it's very efficient. I will do a walk around of the bike, but basically it's a perfect way to get back into biking. It's been a long time since I've been into bikes. It's over 15 years ago since I rode a motorcycle. I went through quite a few of them. I put a video out a few weeks back, in fact just before the lockdown, when I was road testing some bikes, and I did go through some of the bikes that I've had. So I'm really having to relearn the whole biking craft all over again, and this seems to be the ideal bike to do it. And why not have a two-wheeled vehicle in your garage? After all, so does James May, and so does Richard Hammond. Come on. And it goes back to the good old days, very similar to Land Rover in a way, because it's designed to be very easy to fix. It doesn't have any complicated electronics. It's pretty light, and it's designed to go in really difficult terrains very easily. And in fact, if you look at people like Ewan McGregor, Charlie Borman, who took the 1200cc version of this around the world, if they'd have used this one, a lot of people are saying that this would have got them there a lot easier and a lot quicker because it's much lighter and it's much easier to fix.
This is things to come. It's just going to be a nightmare. Bastard!
This is basically the sport version of the decals. So it's got the white beak with the BMW sort of sports decals on it, but otherwise it is exactly the same as the ordinary GS. It's called the baby GS because it is clearly a much smaller engine. These bikes are extremely good value. They're flying off the shelves at BMW at the moment. It's probably their best selling bike because the engine is so efficient, being a 300cc, and yet still manages to do virtually 90 miles an hour. It's got plenty of torque, very easy to ride. A couple of things that have been fitted extra on this before I got it are the handlebar guards, and it did have some extended wing mirrors put on it, so I've had to tape those up actually because they keep sort of flopping around even though I've tightened the screws up. But I found a bit of gaffer tape in good old-fashioned off-road Charlie Borman style. It has done the job. We've got the main headlight, main beam, dip beam with the daytime running lights in it. Very small, quaint indicators. And another thing I fitted just today, which is not normal, is of course the sat nav, which has got me here today. And if you remember, you may remember back last year, I went and bought a TomTom Rider sat-nav. And I did have emails from people going, why have you bought a TomTom Rider sat-nav when you're putting it in a car? Well, now you know why. Because part of the long-term view was to, in fact, get it onto a bike like this so I could use it and put it on both a bike and a car and just swap them round. A few people have noted this. The actual way the exhaust is, the way the engine's mounted, is slightly angled so that the exhaust comes literally straight out the back. The shocker here I'm looking at changing because it's not very good. It's a bit of a hard ride, and you can get a much better shock from a company called Rally Raid, which is much easier to adjust and has far more adjustability. And also another thing I'm looking to do, the engine protection here is just plastic, and you can get much better metal ones again from people like Rally Raid. Nice exhaust, bit big, it's a nice exhaust. Again, loads of upgrades available. You can get Scorpion exhausts as a replacement for that. This is obviously the luggage rack on the back, and what I'm going to do is get some panniers. I'm not sure what type to get for this, but I will get some panniers put on the back so I can basically take a day out and shove a few bits and bobs that I might need. There's loads you can do to this bike, but to be honest with you, I absolutely love it as it is. Other than getting some panniers put on it and maybe upgrading the shock, I can't really see what else I need to do to it. So with a bit of luck, I shall be publishing some videos on some of the little rides out and adventures that I do on this bike, as well as, of course, continuing to do stuff on the Alfa Romeo 4C as well. So yeah, stay tuned, keep watching, and I'll let you know as and when I do ride outs and modifications to the GS. You really wouldn't believe this was a 300cc bike, the way it goes.